The International Space Station is one of the greatest engineering achievements in human history, a massive laboratory orbiting Earth at an astonishing speed of 28,000 km, 17,500 mph. But here's something that might surprise you. The ISS is huge. From end to end, it measures 357 feet, which is almost the same length as a football field, including both end zones. Now stop and think about that for a second. A structure this big, floating in space, moving faster than a speeding bullet, constantly orbiting our planet without falling or drifting away. That alone is mind-blowing. But here's where it gets even crazier. This massive station wasn't launched all at once. It was built in space, piece by piece, over decades, while traveling at unimaginable speeds. How is that even possible? Why does it need to be this big? And how does it stay up there without crashing back down? Stick around, because we're going deep into the story of the ISS, from its construction to its function, and the real reason behind its massive size. And if you love content like this, hit that subscribe button right now. It helps the channel grow and brings you more mind-blowing space facts just like this. The ISS, a space megastructure built piece by piece. The ISS wasn't always this large. In fact, when the first module, Zarya, was launched in 1998, it was just a small piece of what would later become this massive orbital laboratory. Over the next 2 decades, astronauts and engineers from multiple countries worked together to assemble it in orbit. Think of it like a giant Lego project, except each piece had to be launched separately on rockets, carefully docked with the existing structure, and assembled by astronauts in the harsh environment of space. Today, the ISS consists of multiple modules, each with a specific function. Some are living quarters where astronauts eat, sleep, and exercise. Others are high-tech science labs where groundbreaking experiments are conducted in microgravity. Then there are docking ports for spacecraft arriving from Earth, storage modules for supplies, and massive solar arrays that stretch out on either side, providing all the power needed to keep the station running. Why 357 feet? The real reason behind its size. You might be wondering, why did the ISS end up being this big? Why not smaller or even bigger? The answer lies in a balance between scientific needs, engineering limitations, and the realities of launching massive structures into space. The biggest contributor to the station's length is its enormous solar arrays. Unlike Earth, where power is generated from fossil fuels, nuclear plants, or hydroelectric dams, the ISS relies entirely on solar energy. Its huge solar panels stretching across its structure capture sunlight and convert it into electricity. Without these, the ISS wouldn't be able to power life support systems, computers, scientific instruments, or communication equipment. But there's more to its size than just the solar panels. The station had to be large enough to accommodate 6 astronauts at a time, while also housing all the necessary equipment for long-duration space missions. It's essentially a floating space city, with interconnected rooms and hallways designed to support human life in the most extreme environment imaginable. However, the ISS couldn't just be built as one giant structure and launched all at once. That would have been impossible, given the limitations of rocket technology. Instead, it had to be assembled in orbit, which meant each module needed to be small enough to fit inside a rocket, while also being strong enough to withstand the forces of launch and the harsh conditions of space. This delicate balance led to the ISS being the size it is today. Not too big to be unmanageable, but not too small to limit its scientific capabilities. How does it stay in orbit? A structure this massive, traveling at 28,000 km, should logically fall back to Earth, right? So why doesn't it? The answer lies in the physics of orbital motion. The ISS is constantly falling toward Earth, but because it's moving so fast, it keeps missing the planet. Imagine throwing a baseball. If you throw it straight ahead, it eventually falls to the ground. But if you throw it fast enough, it will curve with the Earth's surface, essentially falling around the planet rather than directly toward it. That's exactly what's happening with the ISS. It's in a continuous state of free fall, which creates the microgravity environment that astronauts experience on board. What's next? Could we build something even bigger? The ISS has been a game changer for space research, but it won't last forever. It's expected to be retired in the next decade, making way for new space stations that could be even bigger, more advanced, and possibly stationed around the Moon or even Mars. Imagine a space station the size of an entire city, capable of housing dozens of astronauts for years at a time. That's not science fiction. Space agencies and private companies are already planning for it. What do you think? Should we build an even larger space station in the future? And if so, where should it be? Earth orbit, the moon, or even deeper into space? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible space content.